Stranded on a death world. The planet's barren, rust-colored landscape stretched out before them, an endless expanse of jagged cliffs and shifting sands that seemed to mock their desperate situation. Kara Soren gripped the edge of the crashed shuttle's main viewport, her knuckles turning white as she surveyed the alien world they had been forced to call home. Just hours ago, their vessel had been hurtling through the void of space, the crew eagerly anticipating their first contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. Now they were stranded on a world that the galactic community had deemed a death world, a designation that suggested survival was all but impossible. As Kara turned to face her crewmates, she saw the same mixture of fear and determination etched on their faces. They had lost two of their own in the violent crash landing, and the shuttle itself was a mangled mess of twisted metal and broken systems. But through the chaos, there was a glimmer of hope. They were alive, against all odds. "All right, listen up," Kara called out, her voice cutting through the tense silence. "We're in a bad situation, but we're still breathing. That means we have a chance." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the faces of her crew. "We've got medical supplies, some emergency rations, and a handful of tools. We're going to have to use every last bit of it to keep ourselves alive." The crew sprang into action, each person taking on a crucial task, securing the shuttle, searching for any salvageable equipment, and assessing their injuries. Kara herself led a team to scavenge the crash site, her eyes scanning the alien landscape for any sign of resources they could use. As she bent down to inspect a jagged piece of metal, a soft chime from her wrist comm caught her attention. Pressing the device, she watched as a holographic display flickered to life, revealing a trio of alien figures observing them from orbit. Kara's heart raced as she studied the extraterrestrials, their features shifting and morphing in ways that seemed utterly foreign to her human eyes. She knew they had been detected, but she had no idea how the aliens would react to their presence on this supposedly inhospitable world. "This is Kara Soren, captain of the human vessel Horizon." She spoke into the comm, her voice betraying a hint of anxiety. "Our ship has crash-landed on your planet. We are in need of immediate assistance." The alien figures exchanged a series of rapid gestures and vocalizations, their body language suggesting a mix of confusion and fascination. After a brief pause, a single figure stepped forward, its iridescent scales gleaming in the harsh light. "Human Vessel Horizon, this is Director Krell of the Galactic Research Collective." The alien's voice resonated through the comm, its tone calm and measured. "We have detected your distress signal and are monitoring your situation. Please remain where you are. Assistance is being dispatched." Kara exhaled a shaky breath, relief washing over her. "Thank you, Director Krell. We'll do our best to hold out until help arrives." As she ended the transmission, Kara couldn't help but wonder what the aliens were truly thinking. Surely, they must be as baffled by the humans' presence on this death world as the humans were by their own survival. With a renewed sense of determination, Kara turned back to her crew, knowing that their only chance of rescue lay in their ability to defy the odds and outlast the harsh conditions of this alien planet. Constructing the impossible. The observation deck of the Galactic Research Collective's vessel hummed with a sense of eager anticipation as the team of alien researchers watched the events unfold on the surface of the death world below. Director Krell's scales had settled into a deep shade of fascination, his gaze fixed intently on the flickering holographic displays. "Report," he commanded, his voice betraying a hint of uncharacteristic urgency. Pax, the lead researcher, stepped forward, her bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. "The human survivors have already begun constructing basic shelters and tools from the salvaged materials of their crashed vessel," she explained, her clawed fingers dancing across the control panel. "Their resourcefulness and adaptability are remarkable, to say the least." Krell's scales shifted to a curious shade of turquoise as he studied the images transmitted from the surface. "Explain," he prompted, his gaze never leaving the screen. Pax cleared her throat and continued, Based on our observations, the humans are using their emergency medical supplies, bandages, antiseptics, even the reflective blankets, to create makeshift shelters and air filtration systems. They've even fashioned crude tools and weaponry from the limited resources available to them. Zini, the resident sarcasm expert, floated nearby, his sensory stalks twitching with amusement. "Oh, this should be good," he chimed in, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Let's see how these supposedly resourceful humans plan to take down a creature that can spit acid and crush them with a single stomp." Krell shot the younger researcher a disapproving glance, his scales shifting to a deeper shade of purple. "Silence, Zini. I want to observe their tactics." On the screen, the human scouting party approached a towering reptilian creature, its scales glistening in the harsh light of the alien sun. Kara and Tasha moved with a sense of caution, their eyes scanning the environment for any potential advantage. Suddenly, Tasha darted forward, her hands clutching what appeared to be a crude, makeshift spear, fashioned from a salvaged metal rod and the sharp end of a broken bone. With a quick, fluid motion, she hurled the weapon, striking the creature's flank and eliciting a deafening roar. The alien researchers watched in stunned silence as the humans continued their assault, using a series of traps and distractions to lure the fearsome predator into a vulnerable position. Finally, after a tense and harrowing struggle, Kara and her team emerged victorious, dragging the massive creature back to their camp. Krell's scales cycled through a range of hues, betraying his awe and disbelief. "Impossible," he breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. "They have not only survived the encounter, but they have managed to subdue one of the most dangerous predators on this death world." Pax nodded, her spots flashing with a mixture of scientific curiosity and respect. "Indeed, Director. The humans have demonstrated an incredible aptitude for problem-solving and tactical reasoning. They have taken the most basic of tools and used them to triumph over a formidable foe." Zini, his earlier sarcasm replaced by genuine fascination, floated closer to the display. "Well, I'll be damned," he murmured, his sensory stalks twitching with interest. "These humans really are full of surprises, aren't they?" Krell's scales settled into a contemplative shade of blue as he considered the implications of what they had witnessed. "Yes, Zini," he replied, his voice laced with a newfound respect. "The human race is far more remarkable than we ever imagined." As the alien researchers continued to observe the humans' exploits, it became increasingly clear that their previous assumptions about the species' capabilities had been grossly underestimated. The humans were not just surviving. They were thriving, adapting to the Death World's challenges with a level of ingenuity and resourcefulness that defied all logic. And Krell couldn't help but wonder what other feats the human race might be capable of, given the opportunity to truly showcase their potential. Interspecies cooperation. The holographic displays on the alien observation deck crackled to life, drawing the rapt attention of the research team. Director Krell's scales shifted to a hue of anticipation as a distant signal registered on their sensors. "Report," he commanded, his voice betraying a hint of excitement. Pax, the lead researcher, stepped forward, her bioluminescent spots flickering with enthusiasm. "Director, we've detected an incoming vessel on a direct course for the human crash site. It appears to be a small exploration craft from one of the outer colonies." Zini, the resident sarcasm expert, floated closer, his sensory stalks twitching with curiosity. Well, it seems the human's distress signal has finally caught someone's attention. I wonder how our new visitors will react to finding a group of supposedly primitive creatures stranded on a death world." Krell shot the younger researcher a stern glance, his scales settling into a cautious shade of green. "Zini, focus your attention on the incoming craft. I want to know its origin, its crew, and their intended purpose." As the alien vessel closed in on the human camp, the researchers watched with bated breath, their eyes glued to the holographic displays. Kara and her crew emerged from their makeshift shelter, their postures tense and wary, clearly unsure of how to approach these unexpected visitors. Trill, the senior atmospheric specialist, stepped forward, his crystalline form shimmering with anticipation. Director, the incoming vessel is broadcasting a hailing signal. Shall I open a communications channel? Krell nodded, his scales shifting to a more neutral hue. Proceed, Trill. Let's see how these aliens react to the human survivors. A moment later, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing the alien commander of the approaching craft. Kara and her crew watched apprehensively as the extraterrestrial figure spoke, its voice resonating through the observation deck. Zini inclined his head, his tone somewhat chastened. Of course, Director. My apologies. Trill, the senior atmospheric specialist, stepped forward, his crystalline form shimmering with fascination. Director, if I may. At Krell's nod, he continued, the humans have found a way to incorporate the local crystalline formations into their air filtration system, significantly improving its efficiency. They're now achieving nearly 98% atmospheric purification. Krell's eyes widened, his scales flashing with a hint of awe. 98%. He echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. That should not be possible with such rudimentary equipment. Pax nodded, her spots flickering with a sense of scientific wonder. Exactly, Director. The humans have found a way to utilize the unique properties of the local minerals to enhance the effectiveness of their makeshift filters. It's a level of technical sophistication that we simply did not expect from a species we've categorized as technologically primitive. Zini's sarcastic demeanor had given way to genuine fascination as he studied the holographic displays. They're not just surviving, are they? He mused, his sensory stalks twitching with interest. They're actively adapting to their environment, using their limited resources in ways that defy all logic. Krell nodded, his scales settling into a deep, contemplative hue. Indeed, the humans are not merely reacting to their circumstances, they are actively shaping their environment to suit their needs. He paused, his gaze fixed on the images of the human survivors working tirelessly to expand their shelter and secure additional resources. This changes everything, Krell murmured, his voice tinged with a sense of awe. The galactic community has grossly underestimated the capabilities of the human race. We must update our classification system to reflect their true potential. Pax stepped forward, her spots flashing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Director, if I may. At Krell's nod, she continued, perhaps we should consider the possibility of establishing contact with the human survivors. Their adaptability and resourcefulness could prove invaluable in expanding our understanding of survivability in extreme environments. Krell's scales shifted to a thoughtful shade of blue as he considered Pax's proposal. A wise suggestion, he acknowledged. Prepare a team to make first contact. We must learn more about these remarkable humans and the secrets of their resilience. As the research team sprang into action, Krell turned his gaze back to the holographic displays, his mind racing with the implications of what they had uncovered. The humans, it seemed, were far more than just a primitive species. They were a force to be reckoned with, possessing a level of adaptability and problem-solving skills that challenged the very foundations of the galactic community's understanding. And Krell couldn't help but wonder what other surprises the human race might have in store. Hunting and gathering. The human survivors had settled into a rhythm of survival, their determination and resourcefulness on full display as they navigated the harsh realities of their newfound home on the Death World. Kara Soren, the captain of the ill-fated Horizon, stood at the entrance of their makeshift shelter, her brow furrowed in concentration as she studied the alien landscape. The food and water they had salvaged from the crashed ship were dwindling, and they would soon need to venture out in search of new resources. All right, listen up, she called out, her voice carrying a sense of authority that belied the precariousness of their situation. We're running low on supplies, so we need to start hunting and foraging. Tasha, you're with me. We'll take a small team and see what we can find. Tasha, a young engineer with a keen eye and a steady hand, stepped forward, her expression resolute. "I'm ready, Captain. Just say the word." Kara nodded, her gaze sweeping across the rest of the crew. "The rest of you, keep working on those air filters. We need to make sure we can breathe the air out there." As the small scouting party ventured out into the alien wilderness, the alien observation team watched in fascination, their holographic displays flickering with images of the humans' exploits. Pax, the lead researcher, leaned forward, her bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. "Director, you'll want to see this. The humans are attempting to hunt one of the local predators." Krell, his scales shimmering with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation, stepped closer to the main view screen. "Hunting," he murmured, his voice laced with a hint of disbelief. "But they have no weapons, no specialized tools. How do they expect to engage such a formidable creature?" Zini, the resident sarcasm expert, floated closer, his sensory stalks twitching with amusement. "Isn't that just adorable?" he chimed in, earning a disapproving glance from Krell. "They're turning a first aid kit into a survival kit. Quite an impressive feat, considering their species is supposed to be technologically inferior." Krell raised a clawed appendage, silencing the younger researcher. "Continue, Pax. I want to understand how they are accomplishing these feats with such limited resources." Pax nodded, her spots flickering with fascination. "Well, Director, it appears the humans are utilizing their medical knowledge in ways we've never before witnessed. They are repurposing the antiseptic solutions to purify water, the adhesive bandages to construct basic tools and even rudimentary hunting traps, and the reflective blankets to create shelters that can withstand the extreme temperature fluctuations of this planet." Trill, the senior atmospheric specialist, floated in, his scales shimmering with a hint of bewilderment. "And that's not all, Director. They've even managed to construct a crude but functional air filtration system using the medical gauze pads and the remaining components from their damaged communications array." Krell's eyes widened slightly, his scales shifting to a deeper shade of turquoise. "Explain," he demanded, his voice barely above a whisper. Trill cleared his throat nervously. "Well, sir, by soaking the gauze in the antiseptic solutions and layering them in a specific pattern, the humans have created a filtration system that is able to remove the majority of the toxic gases from the atmosphere. Their makeshift masks are achieving an efficiency rating of nearly 90%. Zini let out a low whistle, his sarcastic demeanor momentarily replaced by genuine astonishment. 90%, you say? And they accomplished that with nothing more than a first aid kit and a few scraps of metal. Fascinating. Krell's scales cycled through a rapid series of hues, betraying the turmoil of his thoughts. "This should not be possible," he murmured, his gaze fixed on the images of the human survivors working tirelessly to secure their meager shelter. "By all known scientific principles, they should not be able to survive on this death world, let alone thrive in such a manner." Pax nodded, her spots flashing with a mixture of awe and scientific curiosity. "Exactly, Director. We are witnessing a complete disregard for the established laws of survival and technological progression. These humans are defying every expectation we had for their species." Krell's scales settled on a deep, contemplative purple as he considered the implications of what they were observing. "Send a priority message to the Science Council," he commanded, his voice betraying a hint of wonder. "We need to reevaluate our entire understanding of human capabilities and prepare a full-spectrum documentation of their activities. I want every detail recorded and analyzed." As the research team sprang into action, Krell turned his gaze back to the holographic displays, his mind racing with the implications of what they had uncovered. The humans, it seemed, were far more than just a technologically primitive species. They were masters of adaptation, wielding the most basic of tools in ways that challenged the very foundations of the galactic community's knowledge. And if they could defy the odds on this death world, Krell couldn't help but wonder what other surprises the human race might have in store. Adapting to the death world. The alien observation team watched in fascination as the human survivors continued to defy their expectations, adapting to the harsh conditions of the death world with a seemingly endless well of ingenuity. Krell's scales cycled through a range of colors, reflecting the turmoil of his thoughts as he studied the holographic displays. Their resourcefulness is truly unprecedented, he mused, his voice tinged with a mix of admiration and bewilderment. They are not just surviving. They are thriving in an environment that should have claimed their lives within hours. Pax, the lead researcher, nodded in agreement, her bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. Indeed, Director, the humans have managed to create a stable, livable environment within their makeshift shelter, despite the extreme temperature fluctuations and toxic atmospheric conditions. Zini, the resident sarcasm expert, floated closer, his sensory stalks twitching with amusement. Ah, yes, the wonders of duct tape and bandages. Who would have thought that the key to surviving an alien death world was simply a well-stocked first aid kit? Krell shot the younger researcher a disapproving glance, his scales shifting to a deeper shade of purple. Sarcasm will not aid our understanding of these remarkable creatures, Zini. I want you to focus on documenting their survival techniques in detail. Greetings, human vessel. The alien commander began, its tone cautious but curious. I am Commander Velia of the Ryloth Expeditionary Corps. We detected your distress signal and have come to offer assistance. Are you in need of immediate aid? Kara's posture relaxed slightly, and she stepped forward, her expression a mixture of relief and trepidation. Yes, Commander Velia. Our ship, the Horizon, crash-landed on this planet several cycles ago. We've been doing our best to survive, but our resources are running low. Velia's features shifted, conveying a sense of understanding. I see. Then we shall offer what aid we can. Please, allow us to land and assess your situation. As the alien vessel slowly descended to the surface, the human survivors watched with a mix of hope and uncertainty. Krell and his research team observed the interaction with rapt attention, their scales cycling through a range of colors as they tried to anticipate the outcome. Once the alien craft had landed, a small delegation emerged, approaching the human camp with an air of cautious curiosity. Kara and her crew stood their ground, but their postures gradually relaxed as the aliens began to share their resources and knowledge. Pax leaned forward, her spots pulsing with excitement. Director, the humans and the aliens are communicating, sharing information. It appears they are finding common ground and working together to address the challenges of this death world. Krell's scales settled into a contemplative shade of blue as he watched the unfolding scene. Fascinating, he murmured, his voice tinged with a sense of awe. The humans are not only surviving, but they are now forging an alliance with an alien species, one that had previously written them off as a primitive, technologically inferior race. Zini, his earlier sarcasm replaced by genuine fascination, floated closer to the display. Well, I'll be damned. It seems the humans are full of more surprises than we ever could have imagined. Trill nodded, his crystalline form shimmering with a newfound respect. Indeed, the human capacity for adaptability and cooperation is truly remarkable. They are not just surviving. They are thriving, and they are doing so in a way that challenges our very understanding of the universe. Krell's scales shifted to a deeper shade of blue as he considered the implications of this unexpected turn of events. Send an immediate update to the Science Council, he commanded, his voice laced with a sense of urgency. We must revise our classification of the human species. They are far more than we ever could have imagined. As the alien researchers continued to observe the unfolding cooperation between the humans and their new extraterrestrial allies, it became increasingly clear that the human race possessed a remarkable ability to overcome even the most daunting of challenges. And with this newfound alliance, the possibilities for what the humans might achieve seemed to stretch out into the boundless expanse of the cosmos.